Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name's Sean, and in this video, I'm finally getting a chance to do some concrete at my own house here. So behind me I have a 32-foot wide section of driveway, and we'll probably end up going out about 30 feet. I think that'll give us some good space to actually park the cars, have some room to work on stuff if I need to, and I'm planning on doing it in 2 separate pours. That way it just makes it easier on us. So it'll be roughly 8 yards, since it'll be 5 inches thick. We'll do 4 8-foot by 30 sections. So kind of see how that's set up. That way, when we do the wet cut joints, we won't have to do the T in the middle. It'll just be horizontal pieces. So I'm going to start getting this set up, and let's get to work. Okay. So I'd like to just square up this top part first, so you can kind of see where we're at distance wise here. So let's just see if we can square this up with a 3-4-5. Since this is a longer piece, we can actually go 6, 8, 10. Rough estimate here. No, I didn't even think about it. All right, so we went 6. Can you hold me on the edge of that concrete there? We'll go 8 on this one. You just go ahead and put me right on that rock there. Good. I eyeballed that pretty good. Good. Oh boy, that's rock solid. Probably good for a good base. Yeah. Right now, my plan was to go 30, it's 32 feet wide, and I was gonna go 30 feet deep, and then do 10, 20, 30. So that's 2 false joints. But if I go 32 feet this way, then I go 32 by 32, then I have 8, 16, 24, 32, so I have 3 false joints. And then I have 8 by 8 sections instead of 8 by 10. Okay, so we have our line set here, and I think we have pretty much 5 or so inches there. And then our lower side, that's a 2 by 8, so we're pretty high, we need to fill in a little bit, but to get our 5 inches. But for the most part, we have a pretty good hump in the middle here. So my dad's just running home to get the transit, because I don't want too much slope left to right, but I also don't want to come up much higher than that there already, because that's just way too much backfill to put on the other side. So hopefully we can make this work. It looks like it's a decent slope, but we'll see. For now though, I need to get the excavator, get all this stuff out of the middle here, kind of dug out. Of course I have geotech under here from when I originally put it in. Makes it kind of a pain to dig out, so I'll try to separate the stone, dig the dirt, put the stone back if we can. So wish me luck. that wasn't too bad. It's hard to really tell what grade is so far until we get a string line on it, but I moved at least a couple tons down to that side, so I can still see a small hump on that little corner here. But for now, I think I'm gonna get these 2x6s in and probably have to move the other car. Of course, I have no room because I have all the other farm junk stacked up, but we get these other 2x6s in, that way we can put some nails in the boards, get our string lines going across, and that'll give us a much better representation of getting our 5 inches of concrete here. So my dad ran to get the transit. I think that'll be a big help too. We can kind of see where we are with fall, because I don't want too much slope going down over the hill there. I mean, a good bit's fine, probably 5-6 inches is no problem. Over 32 feet, that's not too bad. But you know, if it's 12, 15, 16 inches, then that's probably not, probably too much slope, so we'll see. But get these last 2x6s in and then we'll at least go. Okay, so these two are in now. Pretty straightforward. You really just try to line up your string line. I know mine's a little bit off to the right here. I can move the pin over a bit, but we're lined up right on the corner. And then basically, I always put my pins below the 2x4 or 2x6. That way when you're screeding, it doesn't bother them. You'll see a lot of guys do either way. That's just what I prefer. It just makes it easier not to have to screed around all these pins sticking up. And then you really just screw it in, leave the board a little high, and then you can pound the pin down until it just kisses the top of that pin. So let's actually move this over just a hair. That should be about all we need. And then we should be good down here. Yeah, it's looking pretty good. Okay, so now that this side and that side are pretty much mostly in, I can kind of go through and see about doing our 4 sections. So I said this was 32 by 32, but I remembered a little bit incorrectly, because this, when I did my patio in the front here last year, or maybe earlier, or maybe end of last year, I kind of just eyeballed that top corner, even with this original porch I did, this small porch here. So it was the outside of this post. So going from the edge of our concrete down there, we're actually at 31 feet 4 inches. So I'll do some handy math here. 31 feet plus 4 inches divided by, we're going to do 4 sections. So like I was thinking it was 8 feet, but it'll actually be 94 inches. So a little bit under 8 feet. So we'll go 94 inches will be our widths, and we'll have 4 of those, and then we'll do 8 foot out. So my squares will be 94 inches by 8 feet. So a little bit out of square, but you'll never be able to tell by eye. So let's get these marked out at 94 inches. And that'll give us an idea of where to put our 2x6s to separate these pours. 7 feet, 10 inches. Sorry for all you metric guys. Right there. I'll mark it up here too. Okay, so we were at 7 foot 10, 15.8, 23 and a half. 23 and a half. And then our last one. Okay. Hopefully that's right. We'll see. I think for the first pour, we're going to do this far left one and the left middle. That way we can get to everything. We don't have a T in the middle for the false joints, the wet cuts. And then the second pour, we'll do left, middle, far right. Hopefully that makes sense, but it will in a second once I set it up. But I'm going to start getting this graded off, see how we're doing with grade, and move some of the stone around, and then I'll start to get the forms in. Okay, so my dad just got back with the transit, and I have it set to our high point over there. And we can actually take that side down another inch or so, 2 inches. But to get to here, we just checked this before, we're actually at 14 inches. Fourteen and a half inches there. A fall over 32 feet. A little bit more than I would normally want. A little bit more than I would normally want, but we're still going to have fall going out to the driveway, to the actual road. It's at the road, it's 25 inches of fall. So we have another 12 inches of fall from this point to the road, which would be nice because then I could have it sloped pretty much all the way out. So it's not really a big deal. Like I said, I'd really don't want to lift this up any higher because it's already so much backfill to put back there. We could come down over here about an inch, which is probably a better solution. And yeah, we'll go with that. So I think this board's going to come down basically level with the ground. Well, that was a little bit harder than I thought, but luckily we have the excavator and stuff here. So I actually had this big hump here in the middle, and it was so packed in with that 2A. It was like not quite concrete. I mean, it would scrape up, but man, it was tough to scrape up. Even with this big hump here, we ended up with probably 5 tons of extra 2A here. I was definitely not expecting to have that much extra. But we're pretty much graded off here. A few 4-inch spots, but mostly 5. You know, there was a couple humps here that I just kind of left since it was a pain to dig. My dad and I were going to pull corner to corner measurement just to see. So from that corner down, we'll see how square we are. I'm not 100% confident, but if it's within an inch or so, or inch and a half, I'd take it, because with that line for the patio and this line for the garage pad, I kind of just eyeballed it as close as I could. I mean, I tried to square it off the house, but the house, we still had the cinder block there, and it was pretty bad, and there was no even spots. So we're gonna pull a square off it, and we'll see how close we are. But yeah, it is what it is. There's some good fall coming this way. Same thing on the other side. and still good fall out to the road. So let's get this measurement and we'll see how close we are. Good?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, now these vinyl tape measures have a good bit of stretch to them. You good?
Yeah, go ahead.
What we are at 44 feet 9.5. 44 feet 9.5. Now you're going, huh?
Where do you want me to go?
Right on the corner of that 6x6. 44 feet 9.5. Let me know when you're ready.
Okay, go ahead.
Good. 45 feet 10. So we're a foot off.
Well, that might be off too.
Yeah, I'm pretty confident that's going to be off.
You got a crack in here.
I saw that. So we're technically a foot out of square, but we squared it off of this front piece and we squared off of our current line here. So this line has to be straight. So not really a big deal. I mean, it's more than I would want, but I am not confident that this line in front of my house is parallel with the house either. So a lot of unknowns here. I mean, you could just square up the driveway to the house again, but to me, eyeball it just like this, you're never going to be able to tell. And it looks fine to me. That's all that matters. So we're going to go with it. And we can now start tightening up some boards and we'll get our vertical boards in this way. Since we're at 5 inches, I don't think we're going to be able to get a 2x6 in here like I wanted to. So we might just use some 2x4s, make it easier. It's just the concrete goes underneath the 2x4 a little bit, but that's no big deal. So we're gonna get those 2x4s in and then we will catch up with you guys after that. Okay, so we're getting our first bay in here. So we're gonna do far side here and then middle side right if you're looking towards the house on this one. So we'll do those 2 bays first. That'll be about 8 yards. And then we'll do this one and our far right bay. So that just makes it easier to get these false joints in. Also, now that my dad was here, took another measurement and we went from that post where we should have been, and 32 feet was actually right on the corner of this post. I have no idea what I was measuring here, but I was a foot off, so I must have been looking at the wrong number. I don't know, I might look at the video and see what happened there, but somehow I was a foot off. And we rechecked square and we are within 3/4 of an inch now. So we are at like 44.6 or 1/2 or 44.7, I think, like that, something like that. So 3/4 of an inch off, over 32 feet, not too bad. So just wanted to make sure I let you guys know that we corrected that. So that way, whoever was screaming at me the first time when I was probably measuring the wrong thing, yeah, you're welcome. I did catch it eventually. So we're gonna get these last few boards put in for these 2 bays, and we should be ready to pour this week. Okay, well, since we're almost done with setup here, I just wanted to run through kind of what we did and why we did it. So as you can see, we have this 94-inch wide bay by 32 feet, that board down there. We're gonna leave this one open, no concrete. And then we have this 94-inch wide bay from the inside of that board to the inside of this board is 94 inches. And then from the inside of this board to that post is 94 inches, which lines up with our board and our porch piece going out there. So we will be pouring this section, or I'm sorry, we're gonna be pouring that far section over there, and we'll pour this section here, both almost 8 by 32. So that'll be about 8 yards at 5 inches thick. And then the second pour, we'll do this far side and then this other middle one. And like I said, that just keeps us from having to do a wet cut false joint, which is what we're gonna have in this, a T all the way down. So that would just be too many joints for the 2 or 3 of us if my brother-in-law is able to help out. That's a lot of joints to cut by hand for the 3 of us, and just makes it so much easier. You could easily do half and half, or even, you know, the whole thing if you had enough guys, but definitely not confident enough to wet cut joints with that big of a job. So this is kind of an alternative, a little bit more on the setup, but definitely helps with the actual pouring of it, the pouring labor. So just to kind of just how we did it, we had, remember, if we shot with a transit from this point to that point, we were dropping about 14 inches, and then we had 32 inches from that post, which is even with the front of the concrete there, 32 feet. So we have a string line going from there all the way to our corner here, and of course that gives us our height left to right. So then once I get my marks up there that you guys saw us do earlier in the video, that of course I messed up multiple times, you get your first board in, string line from there to this horizontal string line, and you get it to just barely where it's kissing that line. Same thing with this one where my dad's just putting this last little 2 feet in. So you just run that vertical string line just to where it's not quite pushing down, but it's just touching the top, and then you can follow your string line all the way down. And of course, like I said before, we like to put the pins all the way down, but this is just rock solid. I mean, we're getting these pins in about 3 or 4 inches, and with full swings on the 3-pounders, they are just not moving. So that's as far as they're going to go in, and we'll deal with it later on, I guess. But for now, we have that bay pretty much set up to ready to go. We'll get this bay set up and ready to go, and then we will be ready for concrete. And then of course we'll pull forms and basically just switch the bottom. So the concrete itself will become the form for these, and then we'll just pour it off the bottom and we'll be good to go. So hopefully that makes sense. Maybe it will after we pour, but the most important thing is these bays are the same size. They're all parallel with that 2x4 or 2x6 over there. If you remember right, I said we're out of square by 3/4 of an inch. So this board down here is where we made up our 3/4 of an inch. So as you're driving up the driveway, you'll have to turn off to get to this spot. So it'll be harder to see, but if you see a straight line from here all the way down, that'll be easier to see. So we went all parallel with that side, and then this board's just 3/4 of an inch shorter. But even then, I still don't think anyone would see that. So but yeah, I think that about does it for this video, and you know, not much else to do with getting this set up. So I appreciate you watching. We will be we'll be pouring this soon, actually, hopefully, and I'll catch up with you guys then. Thanks for watching.